clouds of crystallized frost into the void. The Varen sensors screamed warnings. Radiation signatures spiked. Weapon arrays beyond their comprehension flared to life. "It's powering up," the science officer stammered. Captain Nail's mandibles trembled. "Send a transmission. Identify us, now." Static filled the channel. Then through layers of distortion came a single word. "Human." The bridge froze. No one laughed this time. The awakening of a legend. Within hours, word spread from the Zorik's fringe to the highest seats of power. Entire sectors trembled as reports poured in. A vessel had been found. A warship. Not Zeth, not Sarathi, not Vilthari, not any known empire. But human. The conclave convened again, this time in silence. The scholars who had once mocked now sat pale and wordless. The warriors who had laughed at myths shifted uneasily, their claws tapping the floor in nervous rhythm. The Chancellor's voice faltered as he addressed the assembly. "Delegates, it appears the legends were not merely stories. One of their ships has been found." A storm of panic erupted. "Impossible. They were extinct. This is fabrication." But then the broadcast arrived, hijacked across every major channel. It was the ship itself. The colossal silhouette against the burning star. Its hull bore the faded letters of an ancient tongue, barely legible yet undeniable. Archivists translated it instantly, their voices shaking. UNS Dauntless. It was real, it was alive, and it was awake. The silence before the storm. The galaxy did not laugh anymore. For centuries they had mocked the idea of humanity, dismissing them as bedtime tales. But now, across every world, every station, every Senate chamber, the same image replayed. The awakening of a ship that should not exist. A single warship. A lone silent patient. And yet, its very presence was enough to shake empires. Because if one survived, how many more waited in the dark? And if myths could breathe, then the galaxy's arrogance was nothing more than kindling, ready to burn. They mocked the stories as if they were children's tales. In the gleaming domes of the Varen Council, beneath banners that had never once fallen in war, the very mention of humans drew laughter. Senators spoke of the species as one might speak of shadows flickering on cave walls, illusions born from primitive minds. The myths claimed that long ago, before the Council united the core systems, a race of predators walked the stars. They were said to be cunning, fierce, and endlessly adaptive. Yet, to the modern galaxy, these were little more than exaggerated war stories from civilizations now extinct. The Varen academies taught students that Terrans were a convenient fiction, invented to explain the sudden vanishing of frontier empires. They did not vanish, the scholars lectured. They collapsed under their own incompetence. Blaming a mythical predator absolves weak species of their failures. War generals repeated the mockery. In every training hall, cadets were warned against superstition. Humans, they said, are a myth for fools who see monsters where there are none. And so, across empires and merchant leagues, the name humanity carried no weight but that of legend, a ghost drifting through forgotten archives. Anomalous silence on the edge. The first sign came as a silence. In the outer fringes of the Vorash expanse, an Imperial scout flotilla moved through empty sectors. These were well-charted lanes, mapped and stripped bare long ago. And yet one system returned an anomaly. It was not noise, not interference. It was silence, a complete absence of the usual cosmic background, the kind of void that should not exist outside of theory. The Vorash commander dismissed it at first. Instruments fail, sensors lie, the void has tricks. He ordered his ships forward, laughing at the junior analyst who trembled as she displayed the readings. But the silence did not fade, it deepened. Then came the signal. It was faint, fragmented, as if time itself were struggling to deliver the transmission intact. A call sign buried in centuries of dust, UNS Nemesis. The flotilla froze. UNS. The ancient code prefix had been recorded only once in galactic history, a relic found in corrupted archives about humanity, a designation tied to United Nations Space Command, the military fleet of the very myths the galaxy had laughed at. And yet here it was, real, broadcasting from the darkness. The commander ordered the flotilla to move closer. If this is a trick, we will expose it. If this is real, he did not finish the sentence. None dared to. The warship in the dark. The void unfolded like a curtain, and behind it stood something the galaxy had not seen in millennia. At first it looked like a shadow, darker than the void it emerged from, but as the stars lit its surface, the flotilla saw structure. Not a derelict, not a ruin, a warship. It was colossal by ancient standards, yet compact compared to the swollen dreadnoughts of the Council. Its hull was blackened, angular, every line of it built for war. Not ornament, not diplomacy, not display. No banners or sigils adorned its armor. Only one word was etched across its surface in white lettering: Nemesis. The ship was alive. Power surged through its frame. Weapons arrays rotated with a predatory patience, each one locking onto the flotilla as if selecting prey. The Vorash commander barked orders to scan it, probe it, test its defenses. "One relic cannot harm us," he declared. "We are the Council's chosen fleet. Do not bow to myths." But even as he spoke, his voice faltered. The warship moved. It was not sluggish like ancient relics preserved in museums. It was not hesitant like something dragged out of retirement. It glided forward with terrifying confidence, as if every crew member aboard had been waiting, patiently, for this exact moment in history. The analysts whispered what none wanted to believe. The human warship was not lost. It was hunting. Fire in the void. The Vorash flotilla attacked first. Dozens of cruisers launched missiles, rail cannons thundered, energy beams carved across the silence. It was enough firepower to erase a continent, to split moons, to turn fleets into ash. Against the Nemesis, it was nothing. The human warship did not dodge. It did not retreat. Its shields flared only once, and then the return fire came. One broadside. That was all it took. The first Vorash cruiser ceased to exist. Its hull folded into white heat before it even registered damage. The second detonated as though struck by a god's hand. In less than 10 heartbeats, 6 cruisers were gone, reduced to vapor in the dark. The flotilla panicked. Formation collapsed. Commanders screamed contradictory orders. Some ships fled, others pressed the attack, desperate to prove that this thing could bleed. It did not bleed. The Nemesis moved like no ship the galaxy had ever built. Its weapons cycled too fast, its targeting too precise. Every salvo was absolute. Where it aimed, destruction followed. By the time the flotilla understood, only wreckage drifted in the silence. And through it all, the Nemesis broadcast a single message in ancient human tongue, translated by panicked algorithms. This is one ship, remember that. The galaxy shaken awake. The survivors fled across the stars. Their broken transmissions carried terror into every council chamber, every academy, every Senate hall. For the first time in 1,000 years, the galaxy went quiet. Debate erupted like wildfire. Some claimed it was a fabrication, a trick by rival empires to stir fear. Others swore it was proof that humanity had never died, only hidden, waiting for arrogance to reach its peak before striking. The Varen Council convened an emergency session. Senators shouted, generals roared, scholars wept. The name Terran was no longer mockery. It was a blade hanging over their heads. For if one human warship could annihilate a flotilla without effort, what would a fleet do? What if the legends of entire human armadas were true? The question spread across the stars like fire in dry fields. If myths walk among us, who can stand against them? And as silence fell again over the great chambers, one chilling truth settled in every heart. The galaxy had awakened an old predator. One warship had been enough. Enough to prove the legends true. They laughed, not the restrained chuckles of polite amusement, but the booming, self-satisfied laughter of conquerors who had forgotten fear. The